Hi, I'm Angel Ingram, Chief AI Tax Information Officer here at KARME Financial Business Services. Getting a letter or notice from the IRS doesn't necessarily mean you owe them money, but sometimes it can. And with the IRS sending out over 200 million notices each year, getting one is far more common than most people think. What matters most is understanding why you received it and what next steps you need to take before things get worse. The U.S. tax code is more than 70,000 pages long. So even when you do everything right, mistakes can happen, or sometimes the IRS or your state tax agency just has questions about your return. Today, let's talk about the most common tax mistakes and what kind of trouble they can cause. The first and most common mistake is leaving something out of your tax return, something the IRS expected to see. That might include wages, side gig income, or investment income. Sometimes people even forget to file a tax return. But most often, it's a missing income form, missing data, or a required schedule you didn't include. When forms like 1099s W-2s or 1099-Rs are missing, or when you skip documentation for a credit or deduction, the IRS flags it. And once that happens, you'll get a letter asking you to explain or correct the issue. Most of this happens automatically by the computer. The IRS compares data from employers, banks, and other sources against what you reported. If something doesn't line up, a notice is generated, sometimes just weeks after tax season, or even a year or more later. So if you receive a notice about missing income or documentation, don't ignore it. That's simply the system doing its job. The next most common mistake is when something doesn't match the IRS computer system. Maybe you entered a number wrong, a dependent was claimed twice, or your deductions looked unusually high. When that happens, the IRS sends you a letter to clarify or verify. If you don't respond, they assume you agree, and that can lead to the worst outcome: extra taxes, penalties, or garnishments. The third mistake we often see is simply doing something wrong on the return. Maybe it's a misunderstanding of a rule, using the wrong form, or miscalculating a credit. For example, claiming the earned income credit, home office deductions, or vehicle expenses incorrectly can all trigger a notice. Even with today's software, these "did it wrong" errors happen all the time, and the IRS will always follow up. Now here's one the IRS won't tell you about: the mistake of omission. If you forget to claim a credit or deduction you qualify for, the IRS won't send a letter to fix it. They won't say, "Hey, you missed this, here's more money." If you don't claim it, you lose it permanently. That's why having a qualified tax professional matters, someone who knows how to find every benefit you deserve. While these are the most common tax mistakes we see, there are many others. With millions of IRS letters and thousands of different notices, it's easy to get overwhelmed. That's why at KARME Financial Business Services, we help you handle IRS letters the right way, quickly, clearly, and confidently. Learn more at mykarme.com, and remember, don't panic. Don't ignore it, just call KARME.